I never thought that at my advanced age, as an introvert, would ever come on social media and make videos and post them. Here we are. It feels like something very sinister is happening now, something that is much different from the usual contentiousness that we've always had in Trinidad and Tobago politics. I think when I realized that we were in trouble was earlier this year when I went to visit some of my former neighbors in Trinidad after being away for about 2.5 years. So I went to visit them in the rural community where I used to live. I have nothing but wonderful memories of that place. We never had to worry about anything when we were there. We all looked out for each other. I would get food brought to my door, fish that people caught, vegetables and fruit from people's trees, and I tried to do my part as well. Imagine my surprise when one of the first things that these good, gentle, helpful, loving people in my experience started talking about Trump and make America great again and make Trinidad great again, and how it's only those other people who are criminals and Trump will save us from the criminals. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked them if they were okay with this kind of hateful politics. They said yes. They loved it. I really, really couldn't understand what was going on. So I asked them questions to find out where all of this was coming from because it seemed like they had completely changed in a short period of time. It turns out that they had been listening to Indian talk radio stations in Trinidad and Tobago, and they were being fed this rhetoric that was very, very familiar to me and anybody who has been watching what's going on in the United States of America. It was like some kind of tropical version of MAGA, and people who I thought were good people were buying into it. I realized that it was probably not a coincidence that people were getting these kinds of messages, that people were being riled up with this kind of rhetoric. It had worked in the United States, and it seemed to be working in my community as well. Look, I have been shouting about the problems that are found in my people, in my community, for many years to anybody who would listen to me, right? I mean, everything from racism to misogyny to authoritarian parenting and child abuse to just the lack of critical thinking. I see many parallels between my community and the base of the MAGA movement in the United States. And I believe that is one of the main reasons why this kind of philosophy was able to spread like a virus here. If you really want to get at the root cause of the problem, when there's an absence of a coherent story about who you are, your identity, it creates a vacuum that can be filled by all kinds of different stories. Sometimes those that come from external forces who do not have your best interests in mind. And look, I know that some people will say, well, what about the problems in other groups and other communities and other ethnicities? I don't belong to those. I need to fix my own house before I look to anybody else's house. And we have a lot of problems internally that we need to address. We have left it so long that we have made ourselves vulnerable to this harmful ideology that could destabilize our entire country and even the region. So if you look at the history of MAGA in the United States, there are many parallels to what's been playing out in Trinidad and Tobago. They also started on talk radio, by the way, several years ago, targeting rural people who had issues that the wider community was not listening to. Now evolved to what some observers call a death cult. They just want to watch the world burn. They just want to create chaos. And a cult is a way of thinking that causes you to ignore your own best interests, that causes you to abandon logic and reality. Somebody might say it's raining. You might say, oh, well, it rains in many places. It's not just here that's raining. Or in its extreme form, which I see all the time now, it's not raining. Some people tell me that I shouldn't comment on what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago because I am not there right now, even though everyone and everything that I love is there. But I think that's the reason why I feel compelled to say something, because I know a lot of people agree with what I'm saying, but they have a lot to lose by speaking up, and I have less to lose. So it's my responsibility to speak up. And also, I'm tired of feeling ashamed of the people who are supposed to represent me. And I say all of this knowing full well that when you challenge people who are in a cult, they will attack you. Because in the absence of a coherent story about themselves, their identity now becomes intertwined with being in that cult. And a challenge to their way of thinking is almost like a challenge to their life. They will attack because they will feel like you are attacking them. I just want better for us, all of us.